President Trump achieved a significant victory this summer with the passage of the law known as the One Big Beautiful Bill. I'm Richard Rubin. That's me. I report on U.S. tax policy for the Wall Street Journal. The new law extended tax cuts that were scheduled to expire at the end of this year. It also created new deductions for overtime pay, tipped workers, and senior citizens. And it expanded what's known as SALT, or the state and local tax deduction. The law also brought some major changes for U.S. businesses. We visited two companies along the Gulf Coast, one that's benefiting from the new tax law and one that's getting hurt and rethinking its strategy.
This racking and piece of equipment is a Cirrus Tech ASRS crane. It increases efficiency, it increases safety, it reduces labor hours.
Gulf Distributing Company is expanding. In October, the beer and beverage wholesaler opened its new facility in downtown Mobile, Alabama. It's got a new headquarters with office space, plus more than 170,000 square feet of warehouse. This is one of 7 warehouses that the company owns across Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi. The nearly $70 million project was aided by the tailwind of the new tax law. Gulf Distributing is a family-owned business with more than 1,300 employees. Rebecca Maisel is the daughter of the CEO and a part owner.
We kept 100% of our employees from when we moved here.
She says one of the biggest benefits of the new tax law is what's known as bonus depreciation, the ability to deduct 100% of the cost of certain equipment right after it's purchased and put in service.
The bonus depreciation provision is huge for us, right? So we are a very capital-intensive business. We have forklifts, pallet jacks, trailers. It allows us to depreciate that asset 100% in year one. So the time value of the capital that frees up is massive to us, as opposed to depreciating it over a number of years.
That means in 2025, the company plans to deduct the full cost of this new $5 million crane system, which senses when particular products are needed on the warehouse floor and pulls the ones closest to their expiration date.
This morning, almost 15,000 cases went out into the market out of this warehouse, and much of that was picked from this crane.
Another big win for Gulf Distributing was the extension of the 20% deduction for companies known as pass-through businesses. Pass-throughs don't face the corporate income tax. Instead, their income passes through to their owners' individual tax returns. The new tax law makes that deduction permanent. For Gulf Distributing, which does about $750 million in gross revenue per year, that could be a big boost.
We really could breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief. It would have felt like a massive tax hike for us not to be able to take that 20% deduction.
The industry that you're in, the beer distributors, is very much made up of a lot of companies like yours, so that are pass-through. Some are small, some, like Gulf, are pretty sizable.
A lot of us, because we are family businesses and because we are so deeply rooted in our communities, we do have great political relationships. So this was at the center of our plate in terms of what to talk to our elected officials about as we climb the hill every year.
The law also increased the per-person estate tax exemption to $15 million and removed any expiration date, locking in certainty for Gulf Distributing and other family-owned businesses.
My grandmother, Frida Maisel, founded our business in 1973. If we didn't have a certain amount of estate tax exemption that we could kind of bank on, then that would, require us to get a little bit more creative, or in the worst case scenario, would force us to have to sell the business outside of our family. As a third generation owner operator, the dream is to continue to be able to keep this in the family for generations to come.
To pay for some of the tax cuts that helped Gulf Distributing and other companies, Trump and Republicans reversed a major Democratic initiative.
As part of the One Big Beautiful Bill, we'll also further slash the funding for the Green New Scam, as you know.
Just 3 years ago, Congress and President Biden had expanded clean energy tax credits. Now, many of those credits are shrinking or going away. We're here just outside New Orleans to meet with the head of a solar energy company who's dealing with the fallout from Congress's decision to restrict tax credits for renewable energy.
Hey, Richard.
Hey, Jeff, how are you?
Jeff Canton, good to meet you. The tax credits are phasing out at the end of the year, the ones specifically for a homeowner That credit requires you to finish the installation and pay for the system by the end of the year to be eligible for the credit.
For the homeowner, what does a system like this cost?
The solar system by itself, like without batteries, would probably be about $20,000 plus or minus, and then a battery would add on sometimes another $20,000 or so. We're trying to do our best to help offset that with price changes and other things, efficiency work, offsetting it, but it's going to be a very different market next year.
Jeff Canton, president of Solar Alternatives, says he has about 75 employees now, but he expects that number to go down. Due to the new tax law, the 30% clean energy credit for homeowners will expire at the end of the year, and commercial credits will be phased out over the next few years.
There was a temperature change, so to speak. The strong focus on repealing a lot of what was in the bills was both surprising and disappointing. The abrupt changes are the things that cause us problems. There is a certain amount of time for those projects to still get spun up. And we do see a lot of projects trying to get started, even though they seem like we have some time to adapt. From an industry point of view, it's really not very long.
Why is that?
It takes a while to explain to potential customers how solar works, how their options would work, for them to build it into their budget.
One of the arguments, for phasing out the credits or eliminating them has been, well, look, like this is a technology that's been around for decades. It should now be able to stand on its own.
Certainly we can say it can stand on its own. We have already been investing in the industry for many years, and the way that the credit is being phased out does not provide enough runway for the businesses to adapt. If the change is too abrupt, the businesses can't adapt, the marketplace can't adapt, and you end up with a more seismic event that wipes out a lot of American entrepreneurs that have put a lot of their time and energy into building businesses, and they're wiped out overnight.
Like, what does the beginning of 2026 look like for your business?
In a way we don't know. Like, we're the TBD, right? We're in a very heavy hurricane impacted community in the Gulf Coast. So the solar and battery is a way for communities, for facilities to keep operating after a storm and provide power consistently. What we're sort of concerned about going into the next few years is if the projects aren't canceled entirely, they'll be a lot smaller.
Meanwhile, Gulf Distributing is enjoying its big new warehouse and preparing to use the tax law to invest in the company's future.
We're the type of company that is going to do that regardless of the tax law. But having this permanence that came in the most recent bill passage is a sigh of relief. We are going to continue to invest back into our company, back into our employees, because that's what we feel is the right thing to do.